Elizabeth, I don't know how you're still doing it, mate.
I'm here. I'm conscious.
I don't know how you're still doing it. But I know that what you have done this weekend is, you've had a pretty successful journalistic career today, but I think that what you've done this weekend is incredibly significant. You have got to work with and alongside some of the best people in the world in terms of not only advocacy for Julian, but advocacy for truth and justice. And I am, as your friend, I'm very, very happy for you. As your colleague, I'm very, very proud of you and proud to work with you. But as your friend, I'm very happy for you, because I know that despite the physical exhaustion, you must be very pleased that we've had this massive outpouring of support from everybody, and that everybody has come together. We've really achieved the initial aim this weekend of bringing together this diverse group of people, and we have succeeded in building a foundation to move forward from here.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm very, very, very inspired by everyone that I've been able to speak to this weekend. And I think that what's really, really so wonderful is that it shows the integrity of people from all different backgrounds, that it doesn't matter, what side of what issue you're on. There are people with integrity on all sides of every issue. And so when you have an issue like Julian Assange and WikiLeaks and supporting them, it just draws magnetically the most wonderful people together. And so it's been a real privilege to witness all of these wonderful people speaking out on behalf of Julian Assange and on behalf of reconnecting him with the world, and hopefully, as soon as possible, also seeing him freed in a real way. And so I appreciate absolutely everyone who took the time out of their extremely busy schedules in order to support this effort. And I think also that the censorship and the attacks that we've seen on the website and the doxing we've seen of some of the panelists, does not at all dampen our efforts. It only encourages us to fight harder for Julian, and it lets us know that we're being effective. So I think that we can take that as an encouragement and not be daunted at all whatsoever by those types of attempts to strangle this message that's been unsuccessful, and it will continue to be unsuccessful as we continue.
I noticed that the censorship is not sustainable, and that was something that was very interesting to me. They were able to keep it up until we were able to provide evidence of it. As soon as we actually had hard proof from the metrics, then mysteriously the shadow bans lifted, and all of a sudden I had 500 notifications an hour again instead of 10 or whatever it was before that. And that was an interesting object lesson for me, to see that as soon as you bring the censorship to light, as soon as you can evidence the censorship and people can recognize it's occurring, that the censors are forced to pull the plug on the censorship lest they be exposed at a massive scale for it. So that was very fascinating. And in terms of recent events that appear to have occurred while I was sleeping, we'll go back to Vivian's Christ parable. Where was Christ ultimately attacked from? He was attacked from, not from externally or from without, but from within his own sphere, his own circles. And so I am not surprised in the slightest that when we are sitting here advocating for the freedom of the number one target of the CIA, the most powerful intelligence agency in the world, that 36 hours later, or 20, no, I guess not, only 24 hours, it took me 24 hours. 24 hours later, this internal, in terms of the activism sphere, these internal attacks are manifesting on us, when what we are in fact doing is advocating for a target of the deep state. So I think that says that really speaks for itself. And I think just as the censors expose themselves with the censorship, I think that any forces internally within activism that are targeting those trying to emancipate a target rather than targeting those agencies who are persecuting their target are also showing their own stripes. So I think, all will be as it will be on that front, and it's a learning experience for all of us. But we are going to keep growing this movement, and we're not going to stop. And I am particularly proud of that. Elizabeth, we were supposed to interview you. We never got around to it. I'm sure you're absolutely exhausted, but in this last, say, 15 or 20 minutes, I would really just like you to speak from the heart. What makes you sacrifice to the level that you are and have to do what you do? You've been breaking incredible stories at Disobedient Media, which, as I believe William Craddock actually said in a tweet, you guys have been setting narratives, and there are now people across the media sphere following up and investigating stories that you picked up on first. But more broadly in this movement to free Julian, your sacrifice is incredible in terms of the hours that you're putting in and the effort that you're putting in. So what drives you? What keeps you here, and what keeps you committed?
Well, I think as we've discussed throughout this entire vigil, all of us who are participating to support Julian are driven by empathy and integrity, and knowing that what we're fighting for is morally right. And we've observed throughout all the different guests, there's been this sense that the establishment and the powers that be lack that moral integrity, that moral compass, and that is a self-perpetuating system that encourages that. But I feel that in all of those ways, what WikiLeaks does and the people supporting WikiLeaks are so much the inverse of that self-perpetuating sort of evil system that is armed against WikiLeaks and against Julian Assange. So what motivates me is not only compassion as a human being for anyone that is suffering, but also as an independent journalist, I value what WikiLeaks publishes so highly. And I really am saddened to see the public not understand the value of these primary source documents, the value of this information, and WikiLeaks' incredible record of integrity and accurate reporting and accurate publications. They've never, ever published false documents, despite obvious attempts that we know about from various groups and private security firms to strategize how they could submit false documents to WikiLeaks. So the fact that they've never, ever published anything that was a false document is incredible, and it makes every single one of the millions of documents that they've published so valuable to independent media, to anyone who is doing real investigative journalism. And as I mentioned with Vivian, there are so many different subjects that we've been able to research. I know that William mentioned it briefly. The human trafficking subjects have been bolstered by WikiLeaks documents, WikiLeaks dossiers, entire publications. For example, the Dutroux dossier, completely reverse the establishment narratives on so many varied and diverse important stories. And so for me, I am somebody who has, and I think a lot of us who support WikiLeaks and Julian Assange feel the same way. We've had personal experiences that motivate us to not stand for allowing lies to continue. We refuse to simply go along with comfortable lies in order to maintain a veneer of comfort. Whether it makes a person uncomfortable to sit here for a long time, or whether it's uncomfortable having a fight with somebody on Twitter about what you think is true, or whether it's uncomfortable to face, your local community or family members who do not understand what you're talking about. There is always discomfort in truth telling, and I have always felt that it is worth it to face that discomfort as opposed to turn away from it, and that the truth is more valuable partly because of the huge sacrifices that are made by people like Julian Assange to bring us that truth. And I know that a lot of panelists mentioned that yes, they're giving up an hour to come see us and speak with us. I'm giving up 10 hours or so today to speak with these amazing panelists. But that is absolutely not even a drop in the bucket compared to what Julian Assange has done for all of us, and what his family members have had to go through, and the impact that the persecution of Julian Assange has had on so many people around him, and the persecution of WikiLeaks staff as well. So I think that this is absolutely something that should not be underestimated by anyone. And that's the long-winded answer to your question on that.
That is a phenomenal point. You're absolutely correct that the sacrifices that we make they're a drop, not only a drop in the bucket compared to Julian, but they're a drop in the bucket compared to our ability to make change and to have an impact. And absolutely, I completely agree with you that it is all worth it. Let's keep soldiering forward. That's all I've really got to say. Let's keep working together. Let's keep building a movement. Let's keep the single focus, because I think that this model is one that can be very successful. And I think that there's many people that have been frustrated and felt like, well, the problems are so big, not just what the problems are so big, what we can we do, but even when we have achieved mass movements and critical mass, we still haven't won. I'm thinking back now to my conversation with Cynthia McKinney, where we talked about this historical context where critical mass had been achieved, but ultimately the state had won and been able to suppress the movements. If we have this single demand, and we keep pushing for it, and we keep bringing in as many people as we can that are like-minded and that also are willing to push for this, I think absolutely it's an achievable goal. And I'm sure that scares the shit out of the persecutors, but quite frankly, that's karmic. This is the result of the seeds that they have sown. So, Elizabeth, what can I say to you? You're a beautiful person, and I am extremely privileged to work with you and to have been a part of this with you. Let's move forward and look forward to the next month. I want to say many thank yous. I want to say thank you to Joe Booth, who's the technical director of the Internet Party of New Zealand, who has gone above and beyond to support us in the back end in terms of systems and networks. I'd like to say a huge thank you to Fly and to Evan Kim, who also have assisted greatly with the tech. You guys have been amazing. You are a huge part of creating what's been done. I'd like to say thank you to the dozens of people who have been coordinating an Internet Party to manage all of the social media accounts and to get the word out, even to help to break the censorship and to make people aware of what is going on. Thank you all. You are incredible, incredible people. Elizabeth and I have the privilege of sitting here and being the faces of this, but you guys are the backbone. Thank you so much. You are absolutely amazing. I'd like to say thank you to the untold thousands of people who have watched this stream, and to the thousands of people who will watch it again in the coming weeks and months as we re-release the different segments of the guest interviews. I would like to say a massive thank you to WikiLeaks and to WikiLeaks legal team, who have been also tirelessly tweeting and promoting this stream. It is an incredible honor to us that you have recognized the spirit of our work, and that you have helped us to reach as large an audience as possible. I would like to thank all of the guests, many of whom came on at very short notice and who put their faith in us and who shared their experience with us and spoke from the heart so eloquently. As I said, I've learned so much from this weekend, and I'm sure that so many people have. It has been a phenomenal, phenomenal experience. Have I forgotten anyone, Elizabeth?
Not that I'm probably less in a state to be able to remember everyone involved with this effort, but than you are at the moment. But no, I think that just about sums it up. And the biggest thanks definitely have to go to WikiLeaks and to Julian for what he's doing. And we just hope that this has some impact on that situation.
Absolutely. Okay, guys, we will leave it there. That's a phenomenal first effort for Hash Unity for Jay. We look forward to next month. Thank you again all for being here. And huge love to you from us. So I'm going to blow you a kiss and we're going to cut the stream. Good night or good day, everyone, depending on where you are. And thank you again.
Thank you, everyone. You're amazing.